Hello and welcome back to Solidworks 2019 training. I am your host Trevor Smale, and today we are going to be looking at basic sketching continued. Let's look at the rectangle tools. So first we need to create a new part document and start our sketch on the top plane like we've done before. And let's look at the rectangle tool, which is just below the line tool. So our first basic rectangle tool allows us to draw from corner to corner. This is not very constrained, as you can see, and it takes some time to constrain it to things. Like I had suggested in the past, using the center line tool and drawing a small L shape helps a lot in constraining objects later on. So if I draw this rectangle tool now, or use the rectangle tool now, I can actually add relationships like coincident and coincident. Boom. Also, we have other problems with the constraints of the sketch, but we won't get into that right now. This is just the first basic rectangle tool. Next, we will move on the center point rectangle, which is actually much nicer because it comes pre-constrained. As you can see, we've got broken lines running from corner to corner, and we know that all of these points will be equidistant from the center relation. So all we have to do is now just add dimensions, 90 millimeters by, let's say 110. And we are ready with this volume to extrude and create a 3D object. However, let's go on to the next one. I'm just going to discard the sketch and create another one. Next up, we have the 3-point corner rectangle. So like the other corner rectangle, it's fairly unconstrained, but it's a lot easier to get your initial angle going, and I'll show you the problem with that in a second. So let's just try out the 3-point. As you can see in the illustration, first, second, third. First, second, third. So we have a kind of predefined angle, and then we can go in and add dimensions and relations and all that stuff. Now let's go on to our 3-point center, which is much more helpful because I can pre-constrain it to the center point and then give it an angle of some sort and expand it. Much nicer. So we can give this a definite angle of some sort. I could add in a center line running horizontally, and then I could say smart dimension and make the angle precise between the exact 90-degree horizontal and this angled rectangle. So let's say 20 degrees. There we go. This can come in handy, very handy. It took me a little while to figure out that I could use this tool more efficiently than just drawing a regular rectangle and angling it. Next thing we have is the parallelogram, which I don't really use often, but you can see how it works. Let's go 1, 2, and then we can add a vertical or horizontal angle. Boom. We could, I guess we could go from corner to corner and constrain it with a coincident. So at least it's somewhat centered now. And we could throw in another center line and go vertically, and then use that to give ourselves an angular dimension for this parallel. Let's say 22 exactly. And there we go. These lines are parallel, as suggested in the name parallelogram, but we can see these little green relation squares indicating thusly. And we also have that relationship on the horizontal as well. Okay. So why would you use a bunch of different rectangle tools when there's that simple rectangle there? Well, if you use the corner rectangle, it's great if you're just constraining it to a few things. So I could constrain the bottom of this coincidentally and then give it midpoint. Let's see here. Let's go midpoint. So now we know that these horizontal lines are equidistant from each other. And we know that the bottom of our rectangle is constrained. But it's kind of a mess if you want to angle it, because now we've got tons of random constraints on here that we didn't ask for, like the vertical line constraint, another vertical, and a horizontal and a horizontal. So if we want to, let's say, add an angle, it's kind of hard because you have to delete those constraints. So let's just draw a vertical center line in here and try to give it more than a, oops, let's delete that. Is that a smart dimension? Let's try to make this go beyond 90 degrees, and it won't let us. It will say, make this dimension driven or make it driving. It will give us trouble, basically. And you can see that the dimension was yellow, which means the program doesn't really accept it. So in that case, we would want to use like a 3-point center point rectangle. And then we can easily give it that angle we were trying to get. See that? Now, we can also make a whole rectangle, let's say a center point rectangle, into construction lines. So we can use that to enclose another sketch or something like that. So let's just give this some quick dimensions. Let's say 180 millimeters by, I don't know, 80. And let's highlight this whole thing and just make it for construction. So now you can see all the lines in here are constrained, but they are construction lines, so they'll be completely ignored. As you can see, the feature tool extrude will not do anything because it's unrecognized as a volume. It doesn't see any contours, anything like that. So then we could start sketching within that by using, let's say, the line tool, and we could start doing some kind of random sketch that's contained. And as you can see, it's recognized that enclosed volume, but not the construction line. So if I were to turn this into an extruded object now, thusly, hit enter, all my construction stuff disappears because basically it was ignored. I can always go back and see it by dropping down this truncated menu and going to show, and we can see that in relationship to the 3D object. So very useful. Let that sink in because you will be using that all the time. Creating reference sketches is extremely handy. So thanks again for watching another one of my tutorials. My name is Trevor Smale, and I really appreciate you viewing this. If you want to see more, just look at the links below. You'll have access to the course syllabus and other videos like this. The course syllabus will help you follow this course in a linear way so that you can learn SolidWorks from start to finish. Thank you very much and have a great day.